Welcome to The Cap, where we are here to speak with college reps and other professionals in the field of college admissions to help answer all your questions and guide you through every step of the process. So if you're serious about college admissions, you've come to the right place. Are you ready? Let's talk about it. And now, here's your host, Dr. John Durante. Welcome to The Cap, the College Admissions Process Podcast. I am your host, John Durante, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you today Donnell Wiggins, who's the Associate Vice President for Strategic Enrollment Management and Dean of Admission at the University of Dayton. Donnell, thank you so much for being here today. How are you?
I'm doing good, John. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here. Excited to talk about some of the exciting things that's happening at the University of Dayton. So again, thank you for this great opportunity.
Well, it's our pleasure and honor. So let me ask you, Donnell, can you share what is new on campus in terms of any exciting developments or any upcoming projects?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many exciting things taking place at the University of Dayton. So I can't tell you all of them, but there's two that I'll highlight that are really, I think, critical to our mission as a Catholic Marianist university. First, we are prioritizing student success from the standpoint of a holistic approach. This has always been a part of our mission as a Catholic Marianist university, where we're leaning into it more than we ever have before. Understanding the complexities of the undergraduate student experience at the University of Dayton and really higher education in general, we want to be able to support students at the highest level and meet students where they are. So right now, as a university, we are helping students identify and connect with a navigator who is their success coach, who will help them navigate the University of Dayton outside of academics and non-academic things to really understand the aspect of higher education and life at the University of Dayton. This model really aims to provide significant support to students and really help them extend and create a success plan in order to be successful at the University of Dayton. Additionally, we are excited about the opportunity for students' outcomes to continue to grow and flourish, like we've seen from our Flyer Promise Scholar students at the University of Dayton, which is a program I created 8 years ago, which is a cohort-based program that has a success coach that supports students from the time they enter the university to the time they graduate. And we're really excited because our 4-year graduation rate for the Flyer Promise Scholars program is over 84%. So we hope that we can scale this model up to really support our entire undergraduate student population at the University of Dayton. We're also really thrilled about the excitement and investment that we're making into student well-being and health and wellness. So we are excited about the expansion of our RecPlex facility and really excited about the opportunities that we will be able to combine our health center, our counseling center, campus rec center into one facility to really help students navigate mental health, health and well-being. And really this, again, aligns with our institution as we focus on improving mental health, emotional and physical health at the University of Dayton.
Well, we appreciate that. Your mission, of course, is leaning into student success even more. You talked about meeting students where they are as part of your mission. The Navigator program, which is really a success coach, not to mention the cohort that you said you started, I believe it was 8 years ago,
Yes,
with
sir.
over 84% graduation rate, which is truly phenomenal, Donnell. So thank you so much for that. And what can you share about your community, academics, and extracurricular offerings that make students feel even more at home at Dayton?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a model at the University of Dayton. We want students to feel at home, and I'll talk a little bit about that later, what that looks like. But really, in terms of students kind of navigating academics, extracurricular activities, we really focus on creating a living learning community that will help students thrive and be successful. So we believe at the University of Dayton, it's not about fit, but it's about belonging and helping students find a sense of belonging and really creating that community where they know they have a place and community at the University of Dayton. And so we know that our students are coming from a variety of backgrounds, walks of life. So we really want them to thrive in that sense of belonging. So in the classroom, we offer over 80 different programs at the University of Dayton, from business analytics to engineering to political science, health science, sports management. We even have a human rights program and so much more. And just those are just some of the variety of unique programs that we offer. Additionally, we provide students with unique opportunities to participate in study abroad opportunities. So we know that learning just doesn't happen inside of the classroom. Learning can happen abroad as well. So we really want to help students be connected to study abroad if that's something that they're interested in, in addition to also preparing students for graduate school. So we have bachelor's plus master's program that students can participate in. And also we have a high success rate for students really getting to graduate school. So really excited about that. And then in terms of getting involved, we're that mid-sized institution. So our overall student body is over 11,700 students. And so you'll never be a number at the University of Dayton. We have over 270 student organizations that students can participate in, be engaged in. We also have Division I sports. We have the best basketball arena in the country. So students in our Flyer spirit are very much connected to our Division I sports like basketball, volleyball, soccer, et cetera, that they can participate in. And then we also have intramural sports and other club sports that students can participate in well. So we're really about providing this comprehensive experience for students as a Research One institution and really developing that one-on-one attention in the classroom where the average classroom size is 27 and you never being a number, but you also have those close-knit relationships with faculty members and staff to really become mentors and really help cultivate that relationship.
Well, that's awesome. You are focused on fostering that living, learning community where your students find a sense, again, of belonging, which is fantastic. You mentioned your study abroad programs, bachelor's plus master's degree, D1 sports, and that close-knit overall community, which really sounds like there's something for everyone. Now, Donnell, one of the things that students and parents are really interested in hearing about is that holistic review in terms of the application. So could you explain your holistic review process and what specific experience the admissions team looks for when reviewing student applications?
Yeah, that's a great question, John, and really excited to answer it. So really at the University of Dayton, our approach to reviewing students' applications here at the University of Dayton is guided by our Catholic Marriedness mission. So we really put an emphasis on really developing the whole person as a Catholic Marriedness university. So our approach to the application is very much holistic. One of the good news is, one, we don't charge an application fee. So if you're looking to apply to the University of Dayton, the application is absolutely free. And so it shouldn't deter you from applying to university because there's not a barrier to do so. So if you're interested, we really encourage you to apply. We also are going to consider students' grades and evaluate students from the 9th grade year to their 11th grade year. And so we look at the courses that they're taking in their senior year, but we're not evaluating them. We're really looking at that 9th, 10th, and 11th grade year, right? And so as we look at grades, we're also looking at including their academic performance. We're looking at their involvement in leadership, service, and community. We're also looking at the rigor of their coursework. So have they challenged themselves? What have they taken advantage of in terms of their coursework? It could be dual enrollment classes like College Credit Plus here in the state of Ohio. It could be IB International Baccalaureate degree program. It could be AP courses, advanced placement courses that they're taking advantage of. We really want to understand the consistency of the student, the trend of their transcript. Have their grades been going up? Have their grades been staying consistent? Have they been fluctuating, going up and down? Or have they been going down? We're looking at all of that when discerning whether or not a student is admissible to the University of Dayton. We're looking at that weighted GPA as well. We are truly a test optional school. So if a student is applying to the university and they believe that their test scores best represent them, we encourage students to submit those test scores. If they don't feel like they best represent them, we encourage them not to submit those scores. Additionally, we also take a look at the student essay. We really want to see that essay connect with who you are as a student and how you will help to improve the University of Dayton through our mission, through the work and connections that you're involved in as a leader. And a leader doesn't mean that you're necessarily leading an organization. It could be how you're involved, how you're connecting, how you're impacting your community. So again, students have the options also of submitting letters of recommendation if they wish, totally up to them, but it's not required. So at the University of Dayton, it's really a comprehensive process, and we really strive to really understand better who the student is and how they're going to contribute to the University of Dayton.
Well, we appreciate that. You touched upon so many different pieces of the application. So let's unpackage it a little bit further, if you don't mind. You mentioned that you look at the weighted GPA. Donnell, do you take that GPA as indicated on the transcript, or are you recalculating using your own metrics?
Yeah, absolutely. So we take that GPA as it's presented on the transcript. Now we know that some GPAs have a higher scale. So those GPAs that exceed a 4.0 scale, we will recalculate that to make sure that it's on a 4.0 scale. But we're using the academic profile from that particular high school in order to do so. And so we want to make sure that it's a comprehensive process, knowing that all of the 3,000 high schools that exist in the state of Ohio all evaluate students' GPA differently. So we want to make sure that there's equity in the process. So depending upon the high school profile, as well as the GPA scale that that particular high school is on, we will potentially recalculate the GPA if necessary. But that weighted GPA is really heavily valued in the admissions process.
Well, we appreciate that clarity. And you mentioned also test scores. So has the University of Dayton made any changes to its standardized testing policy? And how do you currently weigh SAT or ACT scores in your application review?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So the University of Dayton is truly a test optional university. So again, we believe that students should submit their scores that they believe best represent them as a student. However, we understand the stress of the process, to go through the process to apply for test scores, to apply for the ACT or SAT. And we also understand the issues that students are experiencing currently right now, even getting to testing sites and taking the tests. So we want to take the pressure off. It's truly on the student to decide whether or not this test score best represents them. It best represents their overall academic experience that they displayed in their 9th, 10th, and 11th grade year and currently working on in their senior year. We also want to assess whether or not the test score really reflects students' abilities. So to kind of give you an idea, the average test score at the University of Dayton is a 28.5. Of those students who submitted test scores last year who went through the application process, the average SAT is a 1287. And so, but again, we understand that some students fall below that, some students fall above that. So we want to make sure that students understand, does your score best represent you? The other good news for those students who do want to submit their test scores, we do super score. So we'll take that score from a variety of test dates that you had, super score both the ACT and the SAT to ensure that you have that, again, that best score that best represents you if you plan on submitting those scores.
Well, we appreciate that. And what is your institutional priority, Donnell, in terms of the number of freshmen you are looking to admit each year as an incoming class, of course? And how many overall applications do you actually receive to try to fulfill that number?
Yeah, absolutely. So our goal in terms of our first year undergraduate class is 1,800 students, so 1,800 students. In recent years, we've had over 22,000 applicants apply to the University of Dayton. And so we're focused on attracting students who are seeking that holistic educational experience that I talked about earlier and really looking to make an impact, not only just their community, but the world.
Well, we appreciate that. And in terms of your in-state and out-of-state students, I know, for example, that there are some schools that have a cap in terms of how many out-of-state students they could accept. What is the situation at the University of Dayton?
Yeah, so we don't have a cap on in-state or out-of-state. To kind of give you an idea of our freshman class that just came in this past year, we had students who came from 36 states, 36 countries. And so that kind of gives you an idea. As we look at our total population of students at the University of Dayton, we have about 50% of our students coming from the state of Ohio and 50% of our students coming from outside of Ohio. So again, we welcome students from all over the world, all over the United States to see the University of Dayton as a valuable institution when they're seeking that holistic experience.
Well, we appreciate that. And then, have you seen any recent trends in students' personal statements and essays that really stand out? And perhaps can you share some tips for writing a compelling essay?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, John. So thanks for asking it. As we look at students' personal statement, I think the opportunity that exists is really for students like the University of Dayton to collaborate with high schools to really help provide support to students to help them navigate that next step as it pertains to their essay. So we provide tremendous experience for students to really thrive through the essay process and look forward to working with some of our high schools around the country. So we want to hear students tell their story that really reflects who they are. And that story can be whatever they decide, whatever best represents them. It could be about their experience with volleyball and maybe some of the transition that they experience being a volleyball player. It could be about their experience, their background, their race and ethnicity, their gender, etc. And so trends that I've noticed that students, as students navigate the essay process, I often remind students it's not a text message. So how do you communicate in the essay shouldn't be formulated through a text message. It should be formulated through a traditional essay style communication. And so working with your high school counselor, working with your English teacher can really help you from a grammatical standpoint, and really how you're interacting through the essay really be important. Paying attention to those small details really matter. While you won't necessarily be penalized, but it really speaks to students' ability to be focused and be engaged in the process and not rushing through it. I think also being consistent, making sure that you're clear and consistent throughout the essay, that you're not all over the place, but you're actually, you have the beginning, the middle, and the end. Some of those old basic skills that we have that we learned a long time ago really matter, because it really helps us to truly understand the student's experience, the student's story, where they're coming from, and how this story really resonates with the institution. So those are some of the trends that I would offer.
Well, I appreciate what you said in the end, how the story really resonates with the institution. So I do think students, it's important if you're applying, for example, to the University of Dayton, read their mission and philosophy statement, right? Really
Absolutely.
get to know who they are and demonstrate your understanding of who they are and how you see yourself contributing as part of your overall application process. Would you agree or not with that, Donnell?
I couldn't agree more, John. It's one of the number one things that I tell students to consider when you are writing an essay. Understand how you as a student align with the institution and the institution mission, and how through that you can really formulate an essay that speaks to who you are, and how we can help you continue to thrive once you choose UD, and how you can help us thrive as an institution.
Well, we appreciate that. And you mentioned earlier that the teacher letters of recommendation are optional, but what makes a letter of recommendation truly impactful, Donnell? And have there been any notable examples recently that made a difference in an applicant's overall evaluation?
As we think about the letters of recommendation process, let me just say that there are some complexities that high school counselors have, depending on the size of their school, writing a letter of recommendation for every student. So, it's really important that students have a strong relationship with their high school counselor, if possible, depending on the size of their schools. Letters of recommendations are a great way to highlight who students are and what they have accomplished, and how the university can continue to help support these students as they navigate this next journey, this next chapter, by choosing institutions like the University of Dayton. So it's important for students. I always tell students this is the key. How you treat your counselors really matters. How you engage with them
Absolutely.
really matters. How you treat your teachers really matter. Because imagine this. Imagine being disrespectful to your counselor and then having to go back and ask them to write a letter of recommendation for you. Imagine being disrespectful to that professor in AP biology, and then you asking them to write a letter of recommendation for you. What would compel them to do that? If they know that
Right.
you're not invested in the classroom experience, if they know that you're not invested in developing a relationship with them. So it's really important for students to get letters of recommendation from people who can truly speak to who they are, how they've grown, how they've matured, how they developed over time. And sometimes it's that high school counselor, sometimes it's a teacher, sometimes it might be a community member. I think it's okay to have a letter of recommendation from anybody who can best speak to your experience and who you are as an individual, but respecting them ensures that you'll receive a good letter of recommendation.
Well, Donnell, I couldn't agree more. We talk a lot about the things that we control and the things that we don't control in the college admissions process, and certainly being respectful to your school counselor, to your teachers who ultimately may be writing you a letter of recommendation is number one, and certainly something that we all control in terms of being respectful. So I appreciate that. And Donnell, what are the different ways that a student may apply to the University of Dayton? For example, do you have early decision, early action, regular decision? And is there a benefit to applying one way over the other in terms of being admitted or even being considered for merit aid?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question, John. I really appreciate it. So students applying to the University of Dayton should choose to apply by early action deadline, which is our November 1 deadline. So we are an early action school and a regular decision deadline school. We are not early decision. So again, students applying to the University of Dayton would apply either early action, which is our November the 1st deadline, or our regular decision deadline, which is February 1st. I always encourage students to apply early and meet our early action deadline if they can, particularly depending on where they are in the process. If they're not necessarily concerned about submitting their first semester of their senior grades, I encourage them to go ahead and apply for that November 1 deadline. And the reason for that is because it really gives them early action to really understand the nuances of the admission cycle at the University of Dayton. So what does that mean? It means that when you apply early action, you're going to know early whether or not you've been admitted to the institution. You also will receive your merit-based scholarship from the University of Dayton by December, and at the latest at the beginning of January, right? And so applying early allows you to simply get key information and key milestones throughout the admissions process from the University of Dayton in a timely fashion. And so while I know that each institution is different, at the University of Dayton, students will have that chance and opportunity to confirm their enrollment by May the 1st at the University of Dayton. And so when we admit students to the University of Dayton, we're also considering them for merit scholarship at the time of admission. So there's no separate application. We want to eliminate as many barriers as possible for students so that the application process and the acceptance process and the merit scholarship process is seamless. And so we aim to make the process as simple as possible, and we don't want students to worry about submitting separate applications to the University of Dayton. And again, as I mentioned earlier, there's no fee to apply. So you don't have to raise about $50, $60, $70. It's free. So we want to take the limits and the barriers off so students can apply to the University of Dayton. So all the students who listen out there, I recommend you apply.
That's right. That's right. I mean, especially with no fee, which I think is phenomenal, by the way. So again, students, it is free to apply to the University of Dayton. They do not have an early decision round. They have early action, which is a November 1st deadline, regular decision, which is a February 1st deadline. Now, unless you're looking to submit your first semester scores in senior year, I agree with Donnell. I would encourage you to apply early. Apply by that November 1st deadline. First of all, so that you could apply and frankly enjoy your senior year.
Absolutely.
Donnell did mention earlier as well that they're looking at grades from 9th through 11th grade in terms of your GPA anyway. Yes, they see whatever is in progress in senior year, but they're focused more on that 9th through 11th grade, those grades. So, you might as well try to apply early and enjoy that senior year. You would agree with that, right, Donnell?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Very good. And so looking ahead, Donnell, what are some of the University of Dayton's strategic goals or visions for the next 5 years, and how might these influence the university's appeal to prospective students?
Yeah, thanks, John. I think this is really important given the complexities that we're seeing in higher education. So at the University of Dayton, our focus is as a university to continue to develop the whole person by centralizing our efforts to become one university. So we're really working on eliminating and decentralized practices that would hinder students' abilities from really growing and developing as a whole person at the University of Dayton that also impacts their student success. We're excited about unifying our university model because we know that it will help students improve their retention, continue to improve graduation rates for the University of Dayton, which our 6-year graduation rate is above the national average, which we're really excited about. But we want to continue to rise and continue to meet students where they are. And so we're committed to keeping core to our mission, really focus on developing the head, hands, and hearts at the University of Dayton so we know that students can have an exciting experience as a flyer.
Well, that's awesome. It's clear that your mission and philosophy is to meet students where they are and to develop them as a whole person. You have a lot of processes in place in terms of who that freshman class that's going to be accepted is. You have a lot of programs on your campus to continue to help them be successful, but you also have programs to help them not only whether they want to go into studying abroad or master's program or career. It really sounds like you have something for everyone, which leads me to the next question, which is for students that may have had an IEP or a 504 plan while they were in high school, what resources does the University of Dayton offer to help ensure that they continue to be supported once they're on your campus?
Absolutely. Great question, John. And I think students who are on an IEP or have a learning difference, this is something that they want to make sure that gets addressed. And sometimes there's shame that comes with it. But the reality is, I want students to know that there's no shame needed. It's okay to be uniquely different and know that your skill set is best utilized when you utilize the resources that are available for you. So at the University of Dayton, we have some of the best resources in the country for students who have learning differences. The University of Dayton does, one, not require any documentation for students to be considered for services through our Office of Learning Resources. However, if students do have documentations, we are happy to take a look at those documentations in order to really evaluate and make sure that students have the tools and resources they need in order to be successful at the University of Dayton. Students with learning differences should know that we value them, we see them, we honor their experience, and not to mention, as a Catholic Marianist University, we are committed to serving them and making sure that there's no shame around having a learning difference and that they will never be called out, it'll never be mentioned, that it's a safe environment for them to thrive and be successful and really achieve their ultimate goal and receiving a college degree. And as a former, college student, master's student, high school student who has a learning difference, who has navigated dyslexia, I know firsthand the value of utilizing the resources. And it would be remiss if I didn't mention the importance of utilizing the resources currently as a dean of admission. So I encourage you, student, to know that we're here to support you, that the resources are available for you, and it's okay to raise your hand and get those resources to take advantage of them.
Well, Donnell, I want to thank you, first of all, for opening up and sharing your own personal experience. Many people know that one of the reasons why I actually came up with this podcast is because one of my own daughters had an IEP while in high school, who, by the way, is thriving right now in college. So, that was the reason that, made me come up with this podcast and ask some of the questions that I do to frankly help so many other students and their families out there. And to Donnell's point, it is okay. We do value each and every student. And obviously, the University of Dayton is very mindful, students, of meeting you where you are and frankly helping you to be better, not only during the 4 years that you're there, during their graduate study, during study abroad, and also setting you up for a career. So, Donnell,
Sir.
this has been an awesome, awesome conversation. I cannot thank you enough. Before I get to the last question, I must ask, are there any questions that I simply didn't bring up or a topic that you'd like to share that, again, didn't come up in the conversation? This is your opportunity now to share anything else that you wish with us.
So one thing that I want to share with you about the University of Dayton is that we are truly committed to access and affordability. So for the past 10 years, we have our 4-year plan for transparency really designed to help students understand the cost of the University of Dayton for all 4 years. And why is this important? This is important so families know that we don't just want to get you there and give you the cost of the university for 1 year, but we truly want you to understand the cost for all 4 years. So families can compare and really assess what is truly the cost of the institution and what fees, what additional costs may come up that I'm not aware of. At the University of Dayton, we don't have any fees. You're going to know the true cost of the University of Dayton. Also, if you complete the FAFSA, you're going to get a book scholarship that's broken up $500 that first semester, $500 that second semester. So all around, we're committed to creating access and affordability for all students, particularly students who come from underserved backgrounds who might be Pell eligible. We also have been recognized by the American Talent Initiative, funded through the Bloomberg Foundation, for our work as a high flyer institution for creating access. And again, this is core to our mission as an institution.
Well, that's phenomenal. Like I said earlier, there truly is something for everyone in your classrooms and beyond, on your campus and beyond. And I love the mission of access and affordability for all. That's truly tremendous, as has been this conversation, Donnell. Unfortunately, it does lead us to the last question, which is, what are your top 3 pieces of advice that you would provide students and their parents getting ready for the college admissions process?
Absolutely. So I'm going to keep it short and simple. So one, stick with us through the process. I think oftentimes students see the sticker price or families see the sticker price and they're like, oh my God, I cannot afford the University of Dayton. I assure you, when you get to the end of the process, when we give you that 4-year offer, you're going to be pleasantly surprised when you see the level of commitment from the institution that you receive in terms of scholarship, institutional grants, etc. So see the process through. Don't count us out. Take advantage of all of the different resources that are presented throughout the process, how we communicate both to parents and students throughout the process. Also, when you're going through the process, don't take the university offers of consideration based on just that sticker price. So you want to see the process through, but then also look at all of the other factors that we talked about today that really, does this align with who you are as a student? Does this align with who you are as a family? What are some of those key things that you're looking for from a mid-sized institution? Extracurricular activities. So really assess all of the different factors that you're looking for when making a decision about the institution. And the last but not least, if you can visit our campus. Get on campus, connect with us. The brochures, our websites tell a lot of great things about our institution. This podcast is going to be awesome, but I want to encourage you to get on campus and visit with us and connect with us, because I assure you, once you visit, there's no place like the University of Dayton.
Well, Donnell, there's definitely no place like the University of Dayton, and there's no one like you. You are awesome. We really appreciate your time and your willingness to share your expertise. This was awesome, and I'm really happy, as I know it's going to help so many students and their parents as they navigate the process. I hope to have you back again, Donnell. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. I appreciate the opportunity. It's been a pleasure, and look forward to continuing to work with you, and really excited that you created this space for students to hear about the unique colleges that exist in our country today. So thank you so much. Go Flyers.
Go Flyers. And Donnell, it was my honor and pleasure. And to everyone out there, thank you so much for listening. Good luck with the college search. Take care all, and best wishes. Thank you for joining us on this episode of The CAP, the College Admissions Process Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please don't forget to tell a friend. And follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. I am your host, John Durante, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of The CAP.